What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jack Ramsays postgame show. I'm your host, Danny Marang, joined as always by the one, the only, the non-Halloween costume wearing Brandon Sprague. Brandon Sprague, we didn't get you for the postgame. I kind of bailed on the postgame last night because it sucked. I mean, it wasn't fun. This game sucked more. So.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, I loved this game.
Why? Do you normally watch things?
Do you want to just get into it?
I mean, yeah.
I had conspiracy theories floating.
Oh, we're getting like early, like 2-minute conspiracy theories. Oh God, yes.
Yeah, you want to hear my favorite one I came up with during the game because I was so bored watching them play defense?
Yes, please.
So Dame was not happy this summer, right? That's reported. Neal refused to make any significantly big upgrade to the roster. Dame doesn't want to be a bad guy. Who's to say he doesn't say, all right, Neal, here's your roster. Have fun watching me shoot 22%. It's a big FU, man. It's a big FU.
Hilariously, you were not the first person to send that to me or say that to me.
I mean, look, there's only been one other stretch in his whole career
that was this bad in 2014.
That was this bad, and it's getting rapidly close to passing that by a wide margin the way this is going right now. I also had this thought. I really enjoyed watching a young Anthony Simons ball. Danny, I can't begin to tell you how many things I'm not aware of in collective bargaining, in handling salary cap structure. Like, I'll fully admit, if I was ever a general manager, I was like Whoopi Goldberg and Eddie. I won a ticket. I got to be a GM for a week.
Just figure it out.
I'd have a finance guy. That would be his job. You are my Jonah Hill in Moneyball. You tell me what I can and cannot do.
I will be your Jonah Hill.
Thank you. You're my Jonah Hill. I won't comment on your body type publicly, but
do it.
You be my money guy. I'll tell you right now, it's pretty fairly obvious. You have a 22-year-old potential star in the making, and you're not giving enough minutes because he's buried behind 3 guards, 2 of which I'm not sure I want playing more than him. Like, at what point do we just say the quiet part out loud? Like, I know the trade stuff's been out there, but I want you to go get valuable pieces to pair with this kid with Dame. I do. I look, I know they're going to win more games. I know their record's going to be a little over 500. Some people are going to have, I told you so nights. Like, all of that.
We're going to have this. If it's bad, it's Terry stuff still lingering. If it's good, it's Chauncey stuff taking hold.
Whatever.
And what's funny is you and I have said we're going to give it 20 games. And I genuinely think we've done a good job of not overreacting to it. Like, did tonight suck? Yeah, it did. It wasn't a good effort. It was their first real back-to-back challenge, their first real road trip, and they have not looked good for basically 6 quarters. Is that a fair synopsis of what we've seen?
I mean, absolutely. Okay. I'm still giving it 20 games. I'm looking at this from a roster construction standpoint. You could get some pretty valuable pieces for one of your guards because you have another guard that should be playing more minutes.
On that note, we'll talk a ton about the Anthony Simons' impact and all that kind of stuff that we've had.
Am I alone in this? I'm like, did I watch? Am I crazy right now? I feel like maybe I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy. Listen, I've been driving this train for 3 whole years. What you saw tonight, remember the Charlotte game and remember the Clippers game where we're like, they needed to find a way to get Anthony Simons back on the floor for a little bit longer, a few more minutes. I think Chauncey realized that pretty bleeping quick and said, screw a 3-guard lineup, give me the 4-guard lineup.
You're closing. He basically said, Ant, you're closing tonight.
Listen, Ant, you're cooking. You continue to cook. So yes. I want you to go out there and keep cooking.
I mean, look, we've cited this before. We are not plus-minus fans. It's not a coincidence. He's got the best number of the night.
I mean, you can draw those lines. Like, when it starts matching up with the eye test, you're like,
yeah.
You can feel that. That tracks. That all tracks. I think for the most part, the eye test stuff, like, I wonder, I don't know if you saw me do my little stats blitz today on Twitter of just cleaning the glass, NBA.com, synergy, B-ball index.
I didn't see all, I think you tweeted a few of them. I saw the one where you were talking about corner threes, their defense, and how bad they are giving them open looks. Yeah.
Hey, remind me again. What happened tonight?
They hit corner threes, wing threes, top of the key threes, pass around the top of the 3-point line threes. They hit a lot of threes, and quite frankly, a lot of them were open.
So Danny Green, I think all 3 of his threes were corner threes.
Yep.
Hilariously, Seth Curry went 10 of 17, but he was only 3 of 10 from 3. I think he hit a ton of mid-range pull-ups.
Boy, I would have not guessed he was only 3 of 10. I would have said he had like 6 threes tonight. That's how it felt.
He hit a lot of deep 2s.
He's becoming the new Patty Mills. He's really good, but not quite all-star level.
He's a better shooter, less of a shot creator. And that was the issue here in Portland, was that there's guys who were near where he was shooting-wise, but significantly better as shot creators. Yep. And so that, and he didn't play nice with others, or others didn't play nice with him here in Portland.
Yeah, so I heard his tenure was not it seemed publicly.
It was not rough, but I would say tenuous.
He either had a quote or somebody told me basically like he was ecstatic the season was over, so you get the hell out of here.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Yes, that's true. So
hey, he was good playmaker tonight, though. He was strong guy.
He was just cooking. Okay, so without Ben Simmons, this Philadelphia 76ers team, if you're just getting in here, the Portland Trailblazers fall to the Philadelphia 76ers. Second game of a back-to-back, 113-103. And to be honest, you take a look at just kind of how things unfolded. Yeah, the 76ers hit 3, but they only hit threes. But they were only 13 of 36, Sprague. It wasn't like they were just on fire. I think they hit a truckload of long 2s. I'm going to have to watch this one back. Mm-hmm. But you got Furkan Korkmaz. You got Andre Drummond. You got Seth Curry. You got Tyrese Maxey. And you got Georges Niang. Like right in the Niangs.
I realized today Georges Niang. How do you say his last name?
Niang. But we'll go George Niang.
George Niang is one of my least favorite players in the league. I have not liked that dude since he was at Utah.
This close to being a Trailblazer this summer.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad he's not, because I wouldn't be rooting for that. I
don't like his game, or what?
No, I don't.
Weird.
He feels like somebody who thinks he's much better than he is, and sometimes he takes really stupid shots.
It
drives me crazy.
But he's also a big-bodied wing who moves really well.
He's a contributor, and he has a little slow-mo in him. Like, he doesn't move at a fast pace, but he still disrupts things for people and makes life difficult. I don't know. Everybody has players in this league that you just randomly don't like.
That's a weird one for me. Like,
he's one of them.
I thought he had like a universal approval rating because in Utah he is beloved. Like, they hated seeing him go. But I heard that he got an offer from Portland and may have leveraged that into a better offer from Philly.
Him and Evan Fournier, 2 guys that like I just
never Google. No, that one tracks.
No, thank you.
If anybody's feeling real spicy, go ahead and Google Fournier. First of all, thank you all. We're 10 minutes in here right now. Welcome into the Jack Ramsays postgame show. I'm Danny Marang, joined as always by Brandon Sprague. Blazers fall 113-103 to the Philadelphia 76ers. Fall to 3-4 on the season, 0-2 on this road trip. This is like, I want to be like, bring the excitement, bring the joy, bring something good. Be like, hey, come subscribe to the channel, watch the show, enjoy. But this isn't like an enjoyment one. I don't think it's going to be like throw it to the wolves, but I have questions, man. I have questions, and I think we're just going to get right into the meat of it right now. But again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. If you're watching here on YouTube, if you're just chilling, you're watching back on the replay, scroll over, click the little button. Click the bell if you want to see when we go live. We typically go within about 15 minutes of the final buzzer, and we're there in your morning podcast drop after every game. We've got a mailbag pod, which I think we'll record tomorrow. I think that's the plan now. We're, back to back.
Lost track at this point.
Yeah, no, all of the games blending together at this point in time. It just kind of happens. So one of the things that is going to stand out, everybody in Portland has been talking about it. You and I have kind of just been keeping it away because it's one of those things where it's like, it's Damian Lillard, man. You don't really need it. And of course I grabbed the wrong graphic again. This is what happens when I try to do things right, and the Philadelphia 76ers don't put this freaking team away, and Dame looks like he might do something. There we go. There's the right one. Bloop. Damian Lillard, ladies and gentlemen, send the search party. It's official. He's in a funkety funk. 7 of 20, 2 of 9, 20 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Continues to play great floor games. So this is my compliment sandwich, Sprague. continues to play great floor games, taking decently good care of the ball for how much usage he has. 10 assists, 3 turnovers tonight, which 3-1. Anytime you're in that range, you're doing pretty damn well, especially with much as he handles the ball. But by God, he can't hit a shot nowhere, no level, no threes, no twos, can't get by anybody. What the hell is going on, Sprague?
This is gonna sound crazy because I understand the obvious. I'm still not really concerned.
When are you hammering that button? How many games?
4 or 5 more games.
So like 10 games?
Yeah, I mean, you get to 10 games, 11 games, maybe, but I don't know. Like, it wasn't a good night. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. He was awful. He was 2-9 from 3, 7-20 from the field is pretty bad, but he's just earned so much cachet for me that until something, if this goes a couple more games, don't be surprised to see a certain writer release a piece. Hey, he's behind the scenes. He's dealing with this injury. But he's just earned so much respect from me that I'm just going to take it as it's a legit funk. He hasn't been in one in a long time, and he's so damn good that when he plays like this, it's hard not to notice and go, oh, my God, are you hurt? Or what's going on here? I'm going to give him 4 more games before I think I officially join the hey, there's something to this. I just think he's in a cold stretch. And if you've played any level of basketball, you've maybe dealt with this on a much smaller extent.
On a non-NBA level where you're one of the best shooters ever the game has seen, and you can't throw it in an ocean.
Maybe it's a YMCA and you had 3 straight games where you were terrible. Like, that's probably the equivalent to this. So
I had more than that in a row.
That's fine. This is just kind of part of the game. So yeah. I know you might be a little more concerned, but give me about 4 more games. And if he's still doing this, then sure, I'll start to listen to some stuff.
I don't think I'm concerned yet. I still am leaning towards something's not right. There was a play.
Why do you think that though? Because he's getting his shots. Because his shot doesn't look different.
He's not. Well, it does to me. I don't think he's getting the lift. I don't think he's getting the separation. There was a time when he got that switch tonight on Andre Drummond, right? And he got turned into an and one. It rolled in.
It was a foul, yeah.
But so you know exactly what play I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's a play he cooks Andre Drummond on, and it looked like he barely cleared the corner on him. And Andre Drummond is not a guy who moves that quick.
No.
And I know, and everybody keeps saying, "Oh, he's trying to adjust his things." I am taking that into consideration, but at the same time, Damian Lillard right-left split between the legs blow-by is still one of the quickest moves in the entire NBA. I've seen him do it 2, maybe 3 times this season where you were like, oh, that looked a little bit like Dame. And none of them were like, he cooked him. Have you seen Dame cook anybody this year?
Not really.
Okay. That's got to make you question it a little bit, right?
Yeah, still. I mean, look, man, you're making me think about it. Because
that's the thing is like,
I mean, that's a good observation for me to go, well, to that, I haven't seen it, but I don't know, man. I think there's a little something to, he's never played in Olympics and then come into the basketball season.
Beat up mentally, physically, whatever. Something's just off.
He had a really, how would you describe the off season? Like
tumultuous.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. It was always a topic.
Man had like 3 weeks, like maybe,
but like he's still, they were chanting tonight in the arena, we want Lillard. Like, this dude has been dealing with this since this first report of that stuff, his unhappiness came out.
And so let's chart it all real quick.
Yeah.
You get end of the season, he's got the Nipsey Hussle lyrics, barks a little bit, not the typical Dame we see in the press conference. All of the stuff comes out. We get the Olympics. He's got the ab thing. He doesn't play great in the Olympics, but he does win the gold medal. You've got the Beckner thing tying him back to Philly, which it doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, Dame knows about that stuff, so it's not something like he's doing on the side.
I think you forgot. You need to include with the Olympics, like while he was in Japan, he was having to do press conferences and address this stuff.
Yeah, he
25
got that
minutes
in Las Vegas before he left.
Yep.
And it was just over him. Then he comes back and he gets married and he goes on his honeymoon and it's still there. And Chris Haynes did or didn't speak for him. And then, he comes back and, no, I'm locked in. And in between this, we had the Chauncey Billups stuff and him saying Jason Kidd. Like, there was so much crap. Good, bad, or otherwise. It stayed peaked. He didn't get to fall off.
There was no, like, unplugging.
No.
Maybe the honeymoon, but even that like might not have been long enough because of all of this stuff he's dealing with.
It's still, you've been married. You've been on a honeymoon. Like,
yeah.
You're still like, okay, what's the plan today? What are we doing here? How do we do this whole married thing?
Well, he's got 3 kids too. And I know that, I'm sure they got some help, but like you're still parent to 3 kids who are really young. Like that stuff
Twins.
Woo. You have days sometimes as a parent, but I think that's why I'm not freaking out yet. I think this is stuff that I've taken into consideration. He's human after all. He hasn't dealt with this to this level, all of this stuff, all of the playing basketball again in the offseason to that level, or the wedding, honeymoon, the kids, like the noise. Look, it may not be the reason. Your point might be valid that he's just hurt and nobody is going to let that get out, and he'll play through this and eventually we'll see a healthier Dame. But I do think it's valid to throw out some of this stuff as, hey, maybe this is why this dude is struggling.
So you're giving Damian Lillard 3 more games, which
I'm going to go 4.
So 11. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 11 games. If he's doing this for the next 4, all right, let's have a bigger conversation. If it's a little on and off, then I'll still go, okay, he's getting close. And then if he's going to cook, then it'll just die. So,
yeah, and that's the thing is if he has like that torrid streak that he had when he had that 6 or 7 game stretch in 2014. He followed up by shooting basically 50% from the field over the next 2 weeks. He was just an absolute. I think it was the first time he really like completely lit the world on fire. It wasn't like 17 to 22 point Damian Lillard. It was 25, 26, 27 point Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
You started to get that. Oh crap, he's gonna be one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not, oh no, he's good. It was, oh no, he's great. And I think if, let's say, Cleveland all of a sudden comes to town and they're shorthanded right now, they don't have Okoro.
Kevin Love.
Love's got the health and safety protocols, which, again, didn't help the Blazers tonight. No Tobias Harris, no Joel Embiid, no Ben Simmons. God, that's
CJ Ellaby payback. That's what that is. That's
is that what it is?
Is
that basketball karmic justice?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Don't you feel like you see that once a year? You see a team and you're like, oh yeah, they lost to them last year in this situation.
With Portland, I feel like it happens like 4 or 5 times a year, but that's neither here nor there. The Yogi Ferrell game still looms large in my head. Remember that? They got him a contract.
Dude, he was a 10-day guy. Mm-hmm. I watched that game an hour and a half after everybody. I went to the Zoolites that night. And then
you watch Yogi drop 30?
And I went back and watched. It was like the end of the game. I was staying off Twitter.
What?
But I was able to send texts as tweets. So I was live play-by-play. I'm like, Yogi Ferrell's cooking them tonight? And everybody else had already known the outcome of the game. And I checked my Twitter later and everybody's like, boy, you watched this on a big delay, man. Yogi Ferrell roasted us. Like, I'll never forget that night. It was so random.
I remember sitting there watching, and about halftime, I was like, he's going to get a contract out of this. Like, legitimately. Like, I think he had like 14 at the half, and I'm like, he looks like an NBA player.
He deserved it. He put a good game
He did. He got a guaranteed contract out of it. So,
well, look, I also think, let me throw this out at the Dame stuff. And I'm sure if Damian Lillard heard this, he would go, who is this idiot? I love
it when they do that, to be honest.
Right. I said this about their first game against the Kings, and now we are game 7 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little run here. Even in the ups and downs, they have moments in these games this season, where they kind of know they're in a stale marriage.
Mm-hmm.
They know, like, oh, it's us again. We mainly know what the outcome has been. That is for the crowd that doesn't want to just make a move. Sometimes that's why you do make a move. It's because you have to freshen it up. You name me, and I'm being serious with this. Name me 3 general managers right now that run this product back after getting bumped in the first round 4 or 5 years. Can you name 3 general managers?
I can't name one.
Okay, so there is, as good as he might be in other areas, this is the area that he is clearly not done well in. And I think there's a little something to that. And I think watching Ant cook, it kind of just reaffirms it even more in people like you and maybe people like me that you could maybe get some good helpable assets here. You're not going to get all-star caliber first-team All-NBA guy, not unless you want to play ball with Philly, but maybe you could take one of your guards, shop it around a little bit and get 2 or 3 guys, figure out the moves, and maybe help this team and elevate a 22-year-old who, to me, looks like he should be playing 30 minutes a night and not sitting behind one guard that shot what 1 for 3 from 3 today, and then the other guard 3 of 8 from 3 today.
And not just that, I just think when you're talking about how things are set up, and let's get into them right now. Anthony Simons continues to ball out. The headline tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Simons, F you, pay me. Didn't agree to a contract extension. That was kind of an understood thing. It made sense for both sides. Ant had not had the opportunity to really show who he is. The Trailblazers didn't know exactly what they were paying for. And Ant switched agencies last year, and I think in lieu of looking forward to this, is repped by BDA, the same agency that Luka is repped by. Not exactly a small boutique house. He has had one subpar shooting game, Brandon, and he followed that up. You didn't get to be here for the postgame show for me to gloat. But
well,
I did text you.
Gloated in that outfit, I would have had something to say.
Well, listen, man. Grumpy Bear was on one when it came to Anthony Simons last night because Grumpy Bear was not on one. He was not as grumpy. There we go. But he's every bit as advertised. He is scoring. The hook shot is just
he might be better. I hate to say that, but he might be better, bro.
Better than advertised?
I mean, he's better than advertised.
Okay.
I was expecting good. He has a lot of moments where I watch him play and I think, oh man. Like,
you mean like the blow by where he turned Shake Milton into a pretzel and then hit the floor?
And when he got his tipsies in the paintsies, like, isn't that what Calabro said?
Yeah,
like
put the toesies in the paintsies, I think is what it was.
Toesies in the paint. Yeah. Like when you're doing that, and you're shooting 40%, like that's not just like, oh, he's run of the mill roll guy. There's something potentially
he's
there.
got juice.
Yes, he's got juice. That's a good way of putting it.
So last year he was one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the entire league. This year, Brandon, you know what he is? One of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the league, who also has developed his handle, and he's went from a 34% pull-up jump shooter to a 46% pull-up jump shooter. You know what kind of guys are 46% pull-up jump shooters on volume?
Mediocre players?
No, all-stars.
Oh.
All-stars.
Okay. That's good to
when
know.
you're a volume 45% plus pull-up jump shooter, you are a scoring monster. That is typically the line. And he's flirting with the tops of both pull-up jump shooting and catch and shoot 3-point shooting. So
run the 4-guard lineup.
Yeah, pretty much. Go get some buckets. Where he falls in the pecking order, I think he needs to be a guy that's no lower than third, not only on this team, but when he's on the floor. Dame and CJ are the only guys that should be getting shots in front of him at this point. I
don't disagree with that, but you tell that to the rest of the rotation.
I'm saying as a scoring option, he is that dude.
Okay,
he's terrifying.
This is my whole point of why you should be on the phone right now saying what can I get
for CJ McCollum? Yeah.
Yep.
Because here's the thing, like not to get too grand scheme at game 7. We'll talk a ton about this stuff as we get close to the trade line. The Trailblazers have $112 million tied up in Dame, CJ, and Norm. CJ is going to be making a $35+ million. Unless Ant goes completely out of this world, holy crap, ballistic, he's not going to approach that number. 18 to 20.
Oh, I mean, yeah. This is the point, though. It's like you've committed to those 3 dudes. You have another guy who's better than one of them and potentially could be better than 2 of them.
And even if he's not, even if he's just 75% of either one of those guys, he's going to be doing it at a younger. I'm just saying.
Wouldn't you say, based on what we've seen,
he's a better scorer than Norm already.
Yes.
So, CJ is a fantastic all-level scorer.
Won't disagree with that a bit, man. He cooked a couple times tonight. He had some really nice moves. He always does, but
Ant's floor is climbing and his ceiling is getting even higher.
It's getting pushed up.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Ant that gap was pretty wide. He had a high ceiling, but the floor could bottom out. Well, we're 7 games into the year, and he said 6 very good games and then 1 so-so game. And in that so-so game, he did the one thing I think everybody wanted him to do last year, which was when your shot isn't falling, can you still be productive on the floor? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
So shout out Anthony Simons, who's going to get paid. Stay healthy, buddy. That's going to be the I think the key for him. That's something we're definitely going to keep track of throughout the season, is kind of where he sits in this grand scheme of things.
Who do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about Rocco playing 20 minutes and shooting 0 shots? You want to talk about Nurkic getting absolutely destroyed by Andre Drummond?
Let's go for Yusuf Nurkic, who had a disappearing act and decided. And for my next trick, he finished with 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 of 5. He stepped into some stuff late to kind of get a few things on the board. I threw this out there last night in the postgame show, Brandon, where it looked like Embiid was going to play at that point in time. I was like, hey, I'm looking forward to this matchup. This is a good big boy matchup that Nork usually does better against big guys because they play a little bit slower. They single cover him. It's not a bunch of little guys digging down. And he still had another one of the true behemoths in the game, Andre Drummond, who can have games where he disappears even more than Yusuf Nurkic. They're the 2 worst finishing bigs in the league. Absolutely freight trained him tonight.
He looked like Shaq. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. They both are known for disappearing acts, and one of them stepped up tonight and said, "Oh, I get to start, and I'm going to get most of the minutes. I'm going to go Shaq on this dude," and he completely broke him. Monster. Rocco's shooting 0 shots is a humongous problem that we need to talk about.
That's a red flag we'll talk about, but this is.
But this is one of the 3 pieces, right? Like of all the guys they want to go with. And I know Norm's paid more. Nurkic is the one we've been sold on. Like, it's the 3. It's Dame, CJ, it's Nurk.
That's the Holy Trinity.
It's a contract season, and
yeah,
he looks worse. He looks worse than he did last year.
So when I was writing the post for this to put up on Blazers as the tease of the show, I asked the question, does Yusuf Nurkic know it's a contract year? Because for all of that talk, he's had some good games, but he has also had some complete stinkers. The consistency thing, the motor thing. Did you read Quick's piece about the relationship that Nurk has developed with Chauncey? How Chauncey's being real with him, and Nurk really likes that and knows he's not in shape. That
I haven't read that one yet. No.
Okay, so I think Quick put it out yesterday. It's Quick. It's always good.
Right.
But this understanding of tonight. He played 28 minutes, and I think a big chunk of that came late because they had gone small for long stretches. But Andre Drummond stayed on the floor and whooped his ass. What's the excuse there? I don't understand it. He didn't have a shot at halftime. I think he had 4 rebounds and 0 shots. He had gotten to the free throw line. It was like, what was it, 3 of 5 or something like that, or 1 of 5, something like that. It was. Mm-hmm. He went up weak and then drew the foul on Seth Curry because Seth Curry actually blocked him and got called for a crappy call. It was a lot, man, and I don't know what to do with that. Like, what do you do with Yusuf Nurkic right now? Like, we talked about this being a shorter leash situation as far as him getting more involved. Where do you find yourself right now?
I mean, kind of the same spot I've been in for a while. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a future. I mean, I hate that this podcast has been me throwing 2 trades out, but I think you can look at some things and say there's some good stuff here, and moving apart or a couple pieces, maybe it helps break through a little more versus like this just feels like it's getting redundant. It's like, oh, we're gonna play great tonight. Cool. Hey, we're gonna play lazy and not care. Cool. Hey, we're gonna play great tonight. Cool. Hey, we're gonna play lazy and not care. Cool.
It's like, can we not do this?
There's not an in-between here. And that's the frustrating thing is it's only 7 games, but that's the frustrating thing 7 games in is it's just repetitive. It feels like we do the podcast, and if they win, we talk about why they won. They hit 40+% from 3-point land tonight. Hey, there you go. You won. When they lose, it's usually pretty bad. And we go, anybody in there?
And it's usually a situation where it's this. When they win, it's like, oh, they hit shots.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. You make threes, you win.
And I hate the whole it's a make or miss league because, yes, it is, but also there's so much more to it than that. And that's more often than not, that stuff pops up a ton when this team is struggling. You look at it and you go, nothing about this looks right. But when they're doing okay, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Like, there's so many different things that go wrong on a given night. They get amplified in any loss, but in the games that they win, the things that they're doing right are more often than not.
They mask the inefficiencies of what they are. Yes, it's like, oh, they won tonight. Everything was amazing, and you can watch that and see. Well, I wouldn't say amazing. They shot the Clipper game. I think it was the Clipper game. They shot 46%.
Yeah.
When you shoot 46% as a team from three, more likely than not in this league, on volume, you're winning that game. That doesn't mean everything else was perfect. It's a nice win. It's great shooting, but I think that's what you're saying, right? Some of their good games are kind of making.
I want to see them win an ugly game.
Sure.
Have a subpar night, but find a way to win a game without just bombing from three. And I know analytics is saying this, that, and the other. Or analytics doesn't say that. It's the data lends itself to say that the 3-point shot is more valuable. But there's also an interesting point going on around through the early part of the season. Brand, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy on you. Please don't kill me. It turns out that the average weighted shot this year. Do you know what the most valuable shot is in the NBA right now? The 2-point shot.
The mid range.
On average. The 2-point shot is worth 1.03 points per possession. The 3-point shot is worth 1.02. It's been a long time since we've had that kind of a cross-up where those things are on top of each other.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think we should rush to any conclusions yet. I know people are taking notice of this. There's lesser scoring. There's talk about is it the ball, the Wilson ball versus the Spalding ball.
Are up across the league right now.
But I would say, like, I think it's fair to start diving into this, and people like yourself, like, that are really heavy into analytics. I think tracking this is going to be interesting, because is there possibility that for all those years of three ball, people have figured out now how you're defending the perimeter to make it more difficult to not quite get those looks. And then boom, there you go. So you have more open twos, which are easier to hit given where everybody is defensively.
Everybody goes where the defense isn't. And if all of a sudden defenses are geared to taking away threes, now that space becomes long twos.
Philly did that really well tonight. When they didn't have the three, they'd find somebody cutting.
Long two.
Yep.
So that's that. And you and I have talked about this as far as like the way that you beat those Warriors teams. If you had an elite interior presence, that was kind of the way to do it, because you could take that efficiency back. And the Trailblazers, ironically enough, are getting out and they're running more. But according to Cleaning the Glass, they are actually worse off in transition they are on half court right now. Over 100 possessions, they actually score a point less in transition than they do in half court, which is a bit of an issue because they're generating more transition opportunities off of turnovers.
So I don't know if I'm fully subscribed to it, but we had one of our listeners, PM, sent us a tweet, and he basically said, and I know we got another one here from Brad. For all the praise about when their defense has a good night, are we going to talk about how their offense, like ranking wise, taking a little step back here?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fair, right? Isn't that fair? If we're going to talk about the defense when they have a good night and how it's changing and getting better, which I think statistically it has, we kind of need to look at the other side, because that was what we were really sold once Stotts got fired. It was like, well, look how good this offense was.
It's going to stay the same.
It's going to stay the same. Chauncey, I think, in his press conference said he was going to find ways to improve it, and they've taken that step back.
So it's really hard to improve an offense that's second in the NBA, and the bread and butter set of Damian Lillard, Yusuf Nurkic pick and roll is one of the highest scoring points per possession plays in the entire league.
Yeah,
and that is what your entire offense is predicated on and based upon, and you're going to cut that down. On average, I don't care about the whole, well, in the playoffs, if you're talking about efficiency, you don't take your biggest efficiency and put it on the back burner. You use it to set everything else up, which I think has been the case through the games and the opportunities that they've had in these games where they've been better offensively. They use the pick and roll to kind of set some stuff up, and then they get a little bit better on the backside. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how they continue to go with that overall. Went a little bit longer than we normally go here, so we'll kind of wrap this up by taking a quick look here at Cleveland. Cavs, man, they the last I looked, did they finish off in Charlotte?
I think they won. Yeah, they won in Charlotte.
They did 113, 110.
Man, that's a scare. I know they're a little banged up.
They can't score.
Terrifying team.
They can't score, but they can defend their asses
good luck.
off.
Good luck getting a shot in that paint with that dude. Hell, good luck getting a shot
over
the perimeter, man. He can play anywhere. You know who he looks like? He looks like, and I don't mean like similar style of game. I'm just physically looks like out there because he wears those short ass shorts.
Oh yeah, he pulls them way up.
He looks like Kareem. He looks like young Milwaukee Kareem running around out there, just hella lanky and causing havoc.
Yeah, for those not knowing here, Brandon is talking about Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley finished the game 15, 10, 3, 2, and 1 on 7 of 15. Keep in mind, this is a rookie in Game 7 of their NBA career who looks like he's probably going to be a Defensive Player of the Year by like year 3. He is a...
Who's to say he's not in the running this year? Why do we need to penalize him?
He's a defensive savant. He leads the league in contested 3-pointers. He leads the league in contested 2-pointers. He is getting steals. He is getting blocks. He is getting everywhere. It is absolute insanity. Rookies are not supposed to defend like this.
Hey, tell me this. Here we go. Early NBA question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How close are Davion Mitchell and Evan Mobley to being 2 of the top
20 defenders in the NBA?
Man, I was going to go 15.
I mean,
they've got to be in there.
It was kind of funny because De'Aaron Fox called Davion Mitchell one of the 5 best perimeter defenders in the league, and people were like, I don't know. And then now, like 2 weeks into the season, they're like, maybe he is.
I got to be honest. I was going to go 10, and you scared me with 20, so I went to 15. I was going to go 10, man.
Listen, I will put Mobley on the top 5 best defensive bigs in the NBA already, which is terrifying. The only times this has ever happened in my modern life, a modern NBA life, there's 2 dudes. Greatest power forward of all time, the most physically dominant player of all time. That's it. Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal. That's it. Those are the only 2 dudes who impacted a game defensively like this kid is doing right now. Now, he's not putting up the raw counting stats. That is the only thing keeping him back. And I don't think it's ever going to be the case. I think he's like Anthony Davis is like the best number 2 that you can have in the NBA. Like sometimes he puts up bonkers counting stats, sometimes it's not, but you still put up a very good game. It's wildly impactful. Evan Mobley is going to do that, but he's also going to be a Hall of Fame caliber playmaking big. Mm-hmm. It's terrifying. All of that to say, the Blazers play the Cavs on Wednesday with hopes of getting a game on a road trip and tidying things up. We'll get out of here on this here real quick, folks. We do have the Mailbag Podcast. Brandon and I will probably record that tomorrow. If you want to send us questions at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague on Twitter, at Jacked Ramsays. You can email us, jackedramsays@gmail.com. Listen, if you're going to send in your trade requests, send them in. I don't want to hammer 1,000 of them out already through Game 7.
We didn't even get to Rocco, man. How do you play 20 minutes? You don't shoot one time. What the hell are we doing here?
So we'll hit on that real quick. The Covington struggling. I'm not even struggling. So this happened last year where he had like 2 games in a row where he took 2 total shots and it almost looked like he was protesting. Like, oh, you're going to keep me out of the offense? Okay. Okay, fine.
Just keep swinging then.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wide open. Here you go, Nurk.
Oh, now you want me to shoot it? Like I've been open 6 out of the last 7 possessions, and now I get to touch the ball. That's something I've seen pop up before. So it's something.
So you're not worried. You're not worried at all.
I'm not, because he did this exact same thing last year, where he was a non-factor for 15 games, and then he was phenomenal for the rest of the game, for the rest of the series, or the rest of the season. So it is what it is. We'll wrap it up there because we're just hitting it at 40 minutes here. Thank you all so very much. Like, rate, review, subscribe. We're available anywhere you find podcasts. Jack Ramsay is part of the Blue Wire Network. Again, if you're watching here on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button. We'll be back for the pre and post game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Until then, we'll get the mailbag pod for